people, it's me again. So, anyways, so there's like an interesting turn of events as far as the fallout when it comes to the results of Monday's Canadian federal election. So, in a way, this was just one of those things that it has also been talked about here in America every time there's some sort of election in the last couple of years, because I remember a couple of years ago after Biden had took office, and so there was talks of like Texas seceding the union as far as that goes, and there might have been that sort of way back about a couple of years ago when Trump had first took office, and I'm certain it's probably the case now, as far as talks of California seceding, or Oregon, or Washington, or some other state seceding just because they don't like Trump and his politics, for that matter. So, anyway, so there's talks of like Alberta, the province of Alberta, seceding the Canadian Federation as far as that goes, but I don't know if that's like the case with Saskatchewan or Manitoba, because they can also be just as equally conservative in that sense, you know what I mean? So I don't know, but I think it's like if it went like the other direction, as far as the Conservatives winning the majority in that election, then I'm certain that there would have been talks of secession, when it comes to the province of Ontario or British Columbia, for that matter, maybe even Quebec. But although Quebec was always been wanting to like secede the Federation as far as that goes for many of years at that point. So considering it's probably a bit of an uphill battle for people who are really gunning for that secession of Alberta as far as that goes, just as much as people who are like gunning for secession here in California, but considering all of that, there was an attempt of a state seceding at one point, and that was the secession of the state of Jefferson. And for those who don't know, it's like that is supposed to be this part of Northern California, that's more like probably like Eureka or Yreka or all of these northern Californian towns like Syed Mountain or Redding. Probably not Redding that much, but that part of California wants to see, because because of the whole politics as far as whether if it was just here in LA or the Bay Area, or let alone Sacramento itself, is another thing. So considering all of that, that whole story, I think it didn't go through because of, I think it was Pearl Harbor was the reason why that never really came to fruition at that point. And plus it was also the war and all this other stuff, and so, I don't know. I think when it comes to that sort of thing, seceding and all that, there was just also the whole story when it came to parts of Oregon and Washington wanting to secede the rest of the state because of just the same uh, reasons of all, as far as not being represented in Olympia or in Salem, as far as that goes. As but it's just because of that, it's just one of those little things, and that it's not going to be as permanent there, because certain things can also shift, in the whole grand scheme of things, as far as statewide politics of that sort. But I recall, as far as that goes, that as far as with California, I mean, California had been a Democratic state for almost 40 years at this point, because the next presidential election, or the next two, as far as 2028 and 2032, would be like, then it would be like 40 years since California had gone Democrat, as far as that goes, because the last time that California had went to a Republican was 88, but I think there was a lot of things that happened between 80 and 92 that I wasn't even old enough to be aware of that at the time, to cause that shift. So, considering all of that, I think when it comes to how the next couple of years, when it comes to Mark Carney's ministry, and then the fourth term of the Liberals being in power, but for how long at this point, because considering that at any point between now and 5 years, 4 or 5 years from now, would be the next federal election and all, and a lot can change, in the coming years at that point. So, anyways, I guess that's probably it. So, talk to you guys later.